What's going on, guys? Welcome to Saturday Afternoon Wrestling. My name is Dustin, and it is a great day to talk about wrestling because we had Ring of Honor Final Battle on Friday night. We have so much news coming out of TNA, AEW, Ring of Honor, WWE. It is a great time to be a wrestling fan here at the end of the year. It seems like 2025 is shaping up to be an even bigger year. It kind of seems like I don't know how that's possible. But we will begin tonight with Ring of Honor Final Battle because I have unfortunately not seen all of it yet. I have seen two things about this show. The first one is that Bandito was apparently injured the second he came out to make his re-debut after missing almost a year of injury. If you're on social media, you have probably seen the clip by now. Chris Jericho defended the Ring of Honor World title versus Matt Cardona. And won with help of the Learning Tree. And after the match, they were beating down Matt Cardona, and Bandito came in after like maybe a month, 3 weeks, a month of vignettes hyping up his return from injury. He made his return here at Ring of Honor. Uh, kind of weird because it's been advertised on AEW. Kind of been pushing that he was going to come back at AEW, so like the reception wasn't awesome. Then he came out and he got to the top rope and he hit a missile dropkick on Chris Jericho. And the way he impacted into Jericho, he just like flailed back and knocked himself out, is what it looked like. His head hit the mat so hard. So really hope he's okay. It's such a bummer to think that he just came back. He missed almost a year with the wrist injury that he had. And so to come back and to have that type of thing happen, probably, like I would imagine it's like a worst fear, like wrestling worst fear. So I really hope he's okay and this isn't something where he has to miss more extended time and kind of have that stop-start momentum again. Because I do think he is incredibly talented. So I really hope that he is okay. And that was just something that looked a lot worse than it actually was. And then the other thing I saw is the main event, which was the Ring of Honor Women's title. Athena, the longest reigning champion ever, defending against Billie Starkz, the 20-year-old prodigy. And it was a great match. That's the only match I've seen. It was kind of the only match I was really interested in because Athena has been one of the best wrestlers, probably like point blank, one of the best wrestlers the last few years on this Ring of Honor run. And spoiler alert, if you have not watched this match yet, if you are planning to watch this match, don't listen to the next like minute or two. Just fast forward just in case you have not seen the news or purposely avoiding it. So there we go. Spoiler warning. You have been warned. Here we go. So Athena retains the Ring of Honor Women's title over Billie Starkz, and the crowd did not seem like completely behind it. Like I think a lot of people were really disappointed that this wasn't a Billie Starkz like crowning moment because it kind of makes sense for her to be the one to end this reign with how they've told this story and the peaks and valleys that the story has had. It's one of those things where it kind of only makes sense for the protege to take down the trainer. And so I think a lot of people were expecting that. It was kind of like when Roman Reigns beat Cody at WrestleMania 39 and like the air just kind of sucked out of the building. Like everyone was shocked because we were all so sure what was going to happen. And this kind of felt like that. Like I think on the one hand, Billie Starkz is 20 years old. It's unbelievable to think about, but she's 20 years old. So she's going to have plenty of time to have huge, high-profile main event matches like this and extended title runs because unbelievable to think that she is 20 years old doing this and having these types of matches. Like, it's amazing. They absolutely earned the main event spot. They absolutely tore the house down. But for Athena, like, yes, she has the longest reign. It's over 700 days at this point. But there's no one left for her to wrestle. So like the whole thing, the reason it seemed like such a slam dunk of a story is Billie Starkz takes down the mentor. She becomes the new champion. She gets to kind of be a champion and grow her character even more in Ring of Honor. And Athena, having destroyed everyone else that she has faced in Ring of Honor and running that division for 2 years, running that company for 2 years as one of the top attractions for Ring of Honor, could go full-time back to AEW because it is unbelievable to think that she is not weekly on Dynamite or Rampage or Collision. So it's just kind of odd that they would go about this way. And I'm sure there's some type of story there. Maybe this is to like create some sort of crossover. There are reports that Ring of Honor and Tony Khan and that side of things are looking for a TV deal for Ring of Honor. So it could be that, they're looking for a TV deal and they can't be like, our women's champion is a 20-year-old that, that, no one is really super familiar with outside of watching the show. So I don't know. I'm sure there's all sorts of explanations for why everything unfolded the way it did. I don't mean to take anything away from Athena with that either, because I think that she has been, like I said, absolutely carrying Ring of Honor for a lot of the time with her feuds and her matches and her segments. She's just been on another level, and so I'm not mad to see her reign continue. I'm just curious to see what is going to come of it, because I don't know where else they're going to go with it now after this. And then another wrestling company that is in the news that I don't usually talk about a whole lot, just because I don't really watch it a whole lot, is TNA. TNA had announced that a bunch of wrestlers' contracts were coming up soon at the end of the year. So I think we're going to probably start to see a lot of shifting around. I'm curious to see how many people go from TNA back to WWE. They've had that working relationship lately, and I think it was super successful. So I would imagine, like, after that, like, if some of those guys were heavily featured, like, it might make that move a little easier, or we might start seeing people pop up in AEW, in the new year. So kind of interesting to think, and I don't think it's related, but there was another headline involving TNA and Tessa Blanchard, who returned a few weeks ago to cost Jordan Grace and to set up a feud with her, which is apparently going to be Jordan Grace's last feud in TNA before moving over to WWE full time in 2025. That is the rumor. I don't think anything there is confirmed with that 100%. So take that as you will. But the reports around Tessa Blanchard were that a lot of people were not happy that she was there. They were upset that she was getting this opportunity. If you are not familiar, I will give you the Cliff Notes version, and you can Google and kind of fill in the blanks here. Long story short, Tessa Blanchard was bullying women, throwing around racial slurs, and just kind of all around being, a terrible person in every locker room she was in. So she let go from basically every company, was working here and there, I believe in Mexico, and now has popped back up here. And even when she popped up online, it kind of went around again, like all this, like, hey, she's never said sorry for any of this. She's kind of just like not addressed any of it and just kept acting like nothing happened, which I think is pretty damning. And allegedly, a lot of people were really upset seeing her come back into the fold while TNA was having such a successful year. And so I saw people saying, oh, TNA can't help themselves. They had this great year, so of course they had to shoot themselves in the foot. And like, that sucks, because we shouldn't be diminishing the work that everyone has done so far for that company this year. They have been absolutely on fire. There has been a level of interest in TNA that I have not seen probably since I was like 15, 16 years old, and they had like Kurt Angle and Samoa Joe and those guys running around. So it's a tough spot to be in, because of course they're wanting to probably bring in different people that are names, especially if that many people are really going to be leaving. So they're kind of linked in that way, but it's a tough look. It's a tough look for the company to do that with seemingly no acknowledgement of, why she was available to join the company in the first place. And there have also been reports coming out, I think it was Matt Hardy on his podcast, had said that she doesn't have a contract yet. They said that she was there after she debuted, willing to talk to anyone backstage and kind of like air grievances and settle any problems or any differences, which is nice. That's a nice gesture to see. But who knows, if she's working without a contract and she needs to look. Anyway, I'm not going to get into all the speculation here on that. It's just interesting to see, after such a good year, if they lose a lot of wrestlers and then, have issues bringing in Tessa Blanchard. It's a bummer to see. It does kind of hinder that momentum that they've been building so well all year long. Over on AEW, we are continuing to build towards the World's End, which I believe will be December 28th. It is Saturday the 28th. We've got a handful of matches announced for it so far. We've got the Continental Classic matches continuing to build to it. And we've got the main event storyline, which is this fatal 4-way match that's going to happen with Jon Moxley, Switchblade Jay White, Orange Cassidy, and Hangman Adam Page. And I really, really feel like I should be more excited about this. Like, I am kind of everything, kind of excited about everything when it comes to the Death Riders storyline and what they've been doing. Because, like, it still just feels too early to do anything with it. Like, have it be like, oh, someone beat him, like, that's it. Like, it would be anticlimactic to have it be, you know, he decimates Bryan Danielson and then a month and a half later gets pinned and the whole story's over. Like, it just doesn't feel long enough. And, like, I know time works differently in wrestling because of how much television and programming things are on, how out there wrestlers are. But I can't see it being, so it's hard to get, like, super excited for some of these matches because, you know, I don't really think there's a chance that he's losing. Like, conventional fatal 4-way wisdom would have you think, like, oh man, he's never gonna win. Like, so of course he's gonna win. So I don't know. It takes a little bit out of that, and then also, like, I don't understand. Like, they're like, we want everyone to be fired up and fighting for their jobs, but also we're gonna beat you up if you retaliate against us or stand up to us. We're gonna try to pour bleach down Orange Cassidy's throat in the back, and then we're gonna jump FTR because they came and helped stop us from doing that. Like, I don't know. It's a whole weird thing. Like, I go back and forth with this a lot on how I feel about it. I think at times it works really well for me, and I like seeing, you know, guys like Claudio and Pac be given this main event time in these main event matches over and over and over again, and that's something I think has been really successful about the Blackpool Combat Club into the Death Riders, is how they have featured everyone, basically. I think has been really well done, so I do really enjoy that. I enjoy seeing those guys get those opportunities, but it feels weird. I just am not 100% sold on it, and I think because I'm not 100% sold on it, I'm just watching it looking for things to be like, what? That doesn't make sense. And, like, I've watched and let some stupid things go, so, like, I know I can't be here throwing stones at a storyline like, oh, it doesn't make sense. Like, okay, I cheered for Undead Undertaker for what, you know, like, a magical urn controlled the Undertaker and his brother who was burned alive came and fought. Like, I understand that, you know, there's kind of a leave your expectations and things at the door, like, buy in a little bit here. So for me, it just hasn't been working, and I'm sure there's going to be some sort of thing coming at some point, whether it's a return for, like, a Bryan Danielson, or Kenny Omega comes back and, you know, immediately enters into this feud at the top, which would be cool. He is reportedly due back any day now. There was a report that said he should be back by World's End on AEW programming. I know he has the New Japan pay-per-view coming up as well, so I'm sure he's going to start to be coming back more and more, and that's going to be huge for AEW going into this new year and this Max deal, which they kind of put out some more numbers on, which I'll get to in a second. So obviously there's always talk about the AEW ratings, and I think a large thing that's going to be a shot on the arm for them is the return of Kenny Omega. I think bringing someone like him back into the fold is another reason for people to watch every week. Really hoping they use him the right way right out of the gate, whether that's to build up to him and Okada, him and Moxley, whatever they're going to do. I just hope it isn't like he's the next Chris Jericho challenger for the Ring of Honor title, or he's wrapped up with the Don Callis family again, or something. You know, like, I really have high expectations for him coming back, and I really have high expectations for what they're going to do with him when he comes back. And then, honestly, the other thing that has to be talked about is the Continental Classic. The matches continue to be absolutely unreal. Like, every matchup has been so good and so much fun to watch. And I think a part of it is just because the story of the Continental Classic is already baked into the matches. Like, yeah, you want to win because you want to get points because you want to compete for the belt. Like, it's pretty cut and dry. So you don't have to worry about, like, what was the story for 2 months on this? Like, how did we get to this point? Like, no. This is just talented wrestlers going crazy, and look no further than Will Ospreay and Darby Allin, who went out there and had one of, if not the best TV match of the year. They brought it right under the wire. They had an absolute classic. Will Ospreay looked like an absolute monster out there hitting these crazy power moves that just looked 1,000 times worse because Darby Allin like just ragdolls around. Darby Allin hit this coffin drop on the ring apron that sounded like a gunshot in the building. Like, I legit was like, he might like I don't know if his back's broken, but like it might be. And then like they just kept showing him on camera like not moving. It's like, I don't like that. But I'll put the clip in here somewhere so you can hear it, because he hit that thing so hard.
Based on past experience, that's not going to stop him. No. Oh my goodness!
And then they ended up wrestling for like 8 more minutes after that. So I don't know how he does it. He is an absolute machine when it comes to some of these spots and things. I really don't know how he does it. But the surprising thing is he ended up pinning Will Ospreay clean. So that was an incredible match. It was, I think, the 44th or 45th 5-star Will Ospreay match in his career. And it was the first ever 5-star for Darby Allin. So I don't know if that says more about how good the quality of this match was, or that no matter who you put in the ring with Will Ospreay, Dave Meltzer will give it 5 stars. It could go either way. It's one of the two things, though. For real, though, if you have not seen the match, I cannot suggest enough that you do. And maybe New Year's is the perfect time to do it, when you boot up HBO Max to watch AEW, which will be simulcasting, streaming Dynamite starting that Wednesday. I think New Year's week they'll be simulcasting, or it might be the next week. I can't remember. They're also going to start uploading bits and pieces of the AEW back catalog onto Max, so that'll all be available, and really cool. It's cool that they're doing this. It's cool that they have this platform. They're going to start to get those old shows back on. It's going to be interesting to watch and kind of like compare. It's kind of cool to think you'll be able to like watch Cody Rhodes and his entire arc in AEW, leading to the moments where like the fans are booing him out of the building and he doesn't want to be a heel, and like everyone knows he's leaving. It's crazy to see. It's crazy to see all of this stuff. But I'm excited because I've tried to keep up with AEW a lot since it started, just for the sake of following something that wasn't WWE and kind of broadening my wrestling horizons that way. Because I just did not have the drive for, New Japan or all the deathmatch wrestling or TNA at the time. And like, as I've watched more and more, I've definitely gotten more and more like interested in watching everything as much as I can, and kind of learning more. So it'll be cool to see the presentation of that back catalog and to see those old things, because I remember some of it like it was absolutely like yesterday, and then others I probably have completely forgotten about. Like I probably couldn't tell you what happened. So it'll be cool to see that. I think that's everything AEW. We have not confirmation, but pretty good info to indicate that Adam Copeland will be making his return to AEW the week of New Year's as well, on that Dynamite, where he seems to be poised to be coming and helping FTR against the Death Riders. They dropped a lot of hints to seemingly being confirmed by Sean Ross Sapp, all the Fightful guys. So we'll see, but that'll be another huge boost to AEW if they bring in someone like him. If you start getting him back, Kenny Omega back, Bandito, if he's not super hurt, if he's okay, which obviously we are hoping he is okay, then they're going to start to bring in a lot of people again, and really kind of start to be able to throw some more interesting matchups around. And it almost feels like they've played it too safe with a lot of these guys, like holding them out for a while, knowing they were going to need everything they could for this streaming deal and for making a big impression on Max. So if that's the case, and we end up getting like more people than that, even either debuting, coming back from injury, re-signing, anything like that, I think it's going to be huge for that deal, and it's gonna look really smart on AEW's end for sure, if that's the game they've been playing at. And then lastly, we've got WWE, which kind of just keeps on rolling. I don't know how they do it. We're just every week they're just kind of doing their thing. And I'll start with SmackDown, because SmackDown had one of the most incredible moments I've seen in a long time. And of course, it involved Carmelo Hayes, the legend, the young legend. Already some of the most memorable moments to me. So Carmelo Hayes got squashed by Braun Strowman last week, and he came out this week looking for revenge, and he hit Braun Strowman with one of the like coldest, funniest lines I've ever heard in a promo. This had me absolutely dying.
So Braun, you big ugly dumb Santa Claus bitch, let's run this thing back right here, right now.
I'm not sure what about it is so funny to me. It might be the delivery. It could just be what he's saying. It could be the cut to Braun Strowman in the Santa costume as he's saying it. Like, just, it's perfect, perfect comedy to me. I love it. I watched it so many times. We also got some good matches. The big story, I think, coming out of SmackDown is going to be that Bianca Belair and Naomi are the new WWE Women's Tag Team Champions. They stepped up. Naomi replaces Jade Cargill, who is out with injuries still. People kind of don't know if she's really injured or not either. So hopefully she's okay, because I think there's a lot of potential with this storyline. They beat Nia Jax and Candice LeRae, which feels like it's just there to set up even more seeds between Tiffany Stratton and Nia Jax, which, fine by me. I think those guys are going to have a great match when they finally do meet, probably after she cashes in Money in the Bank, wins, and then they have the rematch. Overall, of course, it feels like everything's being, pushed towards the Netflix debut. January 6th, they are going to be live on Netflix for the first time. It's about 2 weeks away, and they are stacking that card. They are making that card look like an absolute premium live event. Like, they're putting it at, like, SummerSlam level, Survivor Series level. We got Roman and Solo Sikoa. Got CM Punk and Seth Rollins finally meeting, which is reportedly going to be the main event. Got Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan again, which will hopefully be the finish of their feud. Like, just so many things just being put onto this card. So we'll definitely have a prediction preview type episode, or at least segment, for that show before it comes. Not too sure what the next couple weeks are going to look like recording wise, just with the holidays and everything going on. A lot of the shows are going to be pre-taped, which I think is great. I think it's a smart decision for the wrestlers, for their families, for them to be able to have that time off the road through the holidays. I think is really important. I think it's one of the huge things that really sets apart this regime from the old regime, where they were working like every single day. Maybe you got Christmas off. Maybe there was a live show in like Chattanooga or something. Like, you just never really knew. And so I think this regime prioritizing, everyone being okay and getting the time off and getting that work-life balance a bit more has been a huge boost just across the board. So I'm really glad they're doing that. But as it stands, because it is going to be all pre-recorded, I feel like spoilers kind of go everywhere before the shows even air. Not really a lot of point in recapping them. So I might have a couple things here and there. I will definitely have a World's End preview. And then I will have a Netflix preview as well for that first Raw. And then maybe some other stuff sprinkled throughout the way. I got a couple cool ideas in the works that hopefully people will like. So keep an eye out for those as well. But really, it's kind of feeling like everything WWE is kind of just in the same groove. Like, you have Damian Priest, Gunther, and Finn Balor feuding. You've got all the tension with Finn Balor and the Judgment Day. NXT has been taking some cool steps toward New Year's Evil, which will happen the day after Monday Night Raw on Netflix. And I think New Year's Evil is going to be at the Shrine Expo Hall, which is kind of crazy. I've seen a few concerts there. I can't really picture it set up for a wrestling show. So I'm kind of interested. Like, I kind of want to go just to check it out and see what it looks like. But we'll see about that. I might be able to do that. But same thing. Like, I think WWE is expecting a lot of eyes that week because they're stacking the New Year's Evil card as well. We're going to have a triple threat match for the NXT title with Trick Williams, Obafemi, and Eddie Thorpe. And I think it's going to be one of those shows too, where they're like pulling out all of the stops. They want to keep that momentum going. So a lot of their shows have just been building that card and kind of fleshing out those storylines a bit more. And it's not a bad thing. I'm glad to see it. I'm glad to see storylines getting multiple weeks of attention and focus and storytelling. Just kind of puts everything in like a holding pattern almost, where you get the few big breakout moments, from a show or throughout the week. And then you're kind of like, okay, back to this. I think that kind of speaks to how I felt about Saturday Night Main Event as well, which was last weekend. And I really liked it a lot. There were things that I really enjoyed. I think obviously Chelsea Green being the women's United States champion is absolutely 100% the right choice. The fact that she's already posting like, I'm your 8-day longest reigning women's US champion ever. Like, that's exactly what I wanted from this belt and from her as the first champion. Like, incredible. I hope this goes on for months because it's unbelievable already. But overall, it did feel like, I don't know, by the numbers to a point. Like, I really appreciated how in on the presentation and the aesthetics and everything that they went. I think that was a huge success. And I think they're going to probably get, more and more, like, not bold, but like more and more, like, okay, I'm bold. They'll get more adventurous with their booking decisions, I think, as the show kind of finds its footing. It's going to be 4 times a year, so I'd imagine they'll still save those marquee matches for it. But I don't know if it's going to be the type of show like where there's actually huge, shocking, major title changes. Obviously, too, Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes had that great match that ended with KO attacking Cody from behind, hitting him with the package pile driver, and then Cody was nowhere to be seen this week, while Kevin Owens continued to cut just incredible backstage promos, with this one that came this last Friday night being up there with his best, where he was basically saying, like, this is all the fans' fault. You all made me do this. You're all gonna decide what happens next too, so don't blow this, basically. And I've really enjoyed that. I've really enjoyed the story that they've been telling with that. And then I think the last thing I wanted to talk about, speaking of package pile drivers, are the teases that have been happening on WWE programming recently, which all seem to indicate that Penta is going to be making his way over to WWE sooner rather than later. The rumor that I keep seeing online is that it will be as soon as that Netflix January 6th Monday Night Raw. And that'd be cool. Obviously, Rey Fenix has all of the issues with his contract and his time for injury that is still on his contract. Everything going on there, I'm sure people are more than familiar with at this point. So it's a bummer that they're not coming together. But I'm really interested to see how Triple H and the WWE crew book Penta, because he's an incredible performer. I really enjoy watching him work, whether it's solo or with the Lucha Bros. So I think he's going to do good. I just don't know how, like, I'm curious to see how in on him right away they are. That actually reminds me of another thing I wanted to talk about. This is an AEW thing. And this was a polarizing thing in the moment. I don't know how I feel, but we saw Ricochet just get absolutely sunned by the Hurt Syndicate to the point that they, like, grabbed him by the shirt collar and basically were like, "Get out of here, you nerd," and, like, kicked him out of the ring. And it was super crazy to watch because he was, like, one of their top signings a couple months ago, like a huge get for their company. And it just feels like he hasn't been used to his full potential yet. And hopefully there's something in the works there where, he will get the chances to do that. But it feels like a lot of what he was getting in WWE. And it just honestly feels just about the same, except now he's also cutting promos, which people are also split on. So, I don't know. I feel really bad because he's obviously still such an incredible talent. He's got a collision match this weekend with Will Ospreay in the Continental Classic that will probably be another 5-star Meltzer match if I had to guess, because if they keep with the no outside interference, the 20-minute time limits, it could be a really special match. If they just get 20 minutes to go, do whatever they want and just go balls to the wall. But that segment really, really struck me as weird, the way they did it and played it off and had him basically do an interview afterwards where he's like, "No, it wasn't that bad," only to then run into Swerve Strickland and get called out and put down again. Like, it just felt like such a weird decision to someone that has already had a little bit of trouble, like, since they've started to push him towards this heel turn. He's had a little bit of trouble, like, connecting with the crowd here. So to do that, to take this kind of risk, feels like it's bold. It's a bold choice. And so I'm curious what people thought about that. If you're listening to this, watching this right now, let me know. Let me know what you thought about specifically this Ricochet segment, or it could be anything really with any of these companies. If there's something I missed in Ring of Honor or TNA that I absolutely need to go back and check out, let me know. I'm always looking for new things to watch, new people to focus on and watch as well. So please feel free. Or if there was just something this week that I did not talk about for Raw, AEW, WWE, anything at all, always welcome to drop your comments and thoughts, especially right now near the end of the year. Going to be open to just about anything I can come up with to keep posting videos consistently. So I think that's everything, honestly. I usually have more detailed notes, but I think with the holidays and everything going on, I've kind of been like I'll just let it fly. I'll see what comes up as important in my head as I start talking, and we'll go from there. So I think that's going to be it for today. I appreciate everyone watching, listening, anywhere you get your podcasts, videos, anything. It is very cool to see as we hit these year-end review things. It's cool to see the people listening and enjoying it. So I really appreciate that. I hope everyone listening has an amazing holiday. Enjoy this weekend in wrestling, and then we will be back next weekend for AEW World's End. Take care.